Well, today's a bit of a crazy day for news here in Canada. You have Justin Trudeau gets called out for being a racist by Pierre Poilievre on live national television in the House of Canada. Sorry, the House of Commons. You have a bunch of new announcements in terms of Canada and allocating money towards the LGBTQ community and not towards, our military or veterans and a whole lot more. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. This is going to be wild ride. So I want to encourage everyone to stick around for the full video if you can, because you're not going to want to miss out on this information. And before we get into it, I want to encourage everyone to smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. It does really help grow the channel. We are very close to 400,000 subscribers. So if you don't want to subscribe to help me, do it because the government doesn't want you to. And without further ado, let's get into this video. So you got Wall Street Silver on X that posts this right here saying this is absolutely insane. There are Canadian military members who are literally eating at food banks as we speak, and might I add, also homeless. There are people serving in the military who literally cannot afford rent or a mortgage, and they are sleeping on the streets, in their cars, whatever it is. Justin Trudeau is a complete clown. This is how he decides to spend the money. The Canadian government to give $110 million plus to the 2S LGBTQI plus community. Wild, absolutely wild. And there's a lot of backlash when this stuff goes mainstream and hits the social media, right? Because that's a lot of money to be spending on a community rather than our serving military members. It's, I don't know, maybe let me know down in the comments how you feel about that one. Next up, we have a Liberal MP who's asked about this Honda EV plant, right? And they're saying that this is where foreign workers will actually be employed. So kind of wild, because the whole point of this Honda EV plant is that it's going to create thousands of jobs for Canadians, but we're leaving out the fact that foreign workers are going to be employed there and taking the jobs from Canadians. Kind of bizarre, if you ask me.
On the Honda battery factory, do you have any idea yet how many foreign workers are going to be coming to work on that? It's obviously a big concern to the building unions. We've seen it with the Stellantis plants and Volkswagen.
I don't, Glenn. I know that as part of the investment, the investors expect to be able to bring in workers, whether they are specialized or otherwise, under the free trade agreements that we have and that we benefit from. Just as we send workers over to them, that reciprocity is integral to the actual investment. If people don't want the investment, that's their choice as well. We got that investment. We've made some commitments. Didn't negotiate it myself, but the reality is that we do have to have a number of workers that will be in there, but at the same time guaranteeing good paying union jobs, and that's the assurances I understand we've gotten.
But are those numbers codified in the agreements?
I don't have that information for you. I don't have that information for you.
Kind of weird if you ask me. I really thought that the Liberal government was about creating more jobs for Canadians, but that doesn't seem to be the case. As time goes on, it seems like they're just wanting to prop up numbers to make it look good. But when you look at it just a little bit below the surface, it's not really for Canadians. It's for, I don't know, foreign workers. That's what it seems to be. Yeah. And then next up, we have pro-Hamas sit-in has begun at the University of Ottawa. That's right. You have a Liberal or an NDP MP who's there to show his support with Clayton Godwin. Both are comrades of Deanna Sheriff, who I believe is a protester, or a frequent protester that just got arrested in Ottawa, who was arrested Saturday in Ottawa and is being held without bail. Sheriff is facing 9 charges, including 2 hate-motivated charges. And they are all people that support these types of activities. It's weird. It's weird that the government has a strong stance against, anti-Semitism and all that stuff. And then they allow these Palestinian protests to happen. And above and beyond that, I mean, this I don't know if this is going to have backlash on Pierre Poilievre. I hate to admit that, but this is a recent press conference where Pierre and Justin Trudeau played dress up for a photo op while the crowds chanted Palestine. Let's take a look.
Your right to practice your religion freely and without intimidation is exactly that, a fundamental right guaranteed in the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms that we will always stand up and defend you for. We will stand with you once again on this wonderful day of celebrations. Happy Vaisakhi. Merci beaucoup tout le monde. Waheguru ji ka khalsa, waheguru ji ki fateh. Yes.
Yeah, Palestine.
Waheguru Jiga Khalsa, Waheguru Jigi Fateh. It is an honor to be here today.
All right. So a lot of people criticize Justin Trudeau, including myself, for playing dress up and doing this. And then Pierre Poilievre finds himself in the mix. And I don't understand why they do that. I feel like you should just not dress up in different cultures' clothing. Maybe it could be symbolic. Sure, it's a way to try and get more votes, but it just feels a little bit weird. And I absolutely hate, don't get me wrong, I hate to show Pierre in that light, but it's the truth. I mean, it feels a little bit weird. But now we're going to move on to another clip. We have, after complaining about record profits and corporate handouts for years, Jagmeet Singh says he has no issue giving corporations like Honda billions as long as it's creating union jobs. Do you think Jagmeet Singh knows that Honda is non-unionized and has record profits? Here we go.
Whenever we give public money to projects in our country, we need ironclad guarantees that will create jobs in Canada that are good paying, union jobs, and that the work stays in the country. We need those guarantees. We have seen in the past, and most recently with the Next Gen project in Windsor, that there are concerns that work is being done by foreign workers that should be done by Canadians. That is something that needs to be addressed in the strings attached to the funding to ensure that jobs are Canadian, they're good paying, union jobs, and they stay in the country.
Right. So that is a massive issue because Jagmeet has been, the leading man in fighting against corporate greed, right? And he doesn't like that you have foreign workers that are taking jobs from Canadian citizens, yet you literally saw that Immigration Minister Mark Miller confirmed that foreign workers are going to be employed at this new Honda facility. So that's just hypocritical. I don't know. That just seems like Jagmeet is standing up for one thing. The opposite is happening, and he's not saying, hey, this is bad. He's saying this is good. It's weird. Am I being gaslit? Am I dumb? Please don't answer that. I already know the answer to that. But am I being gaslit? Are you being gaslit? It just feels so disingenuous. It feels like we're going through some weird times, especially when, speaking of weird times, look, I was raised in a world where white picket fence was the dream. You had a mom, you had a dad, and mom and dad had a bunch of kids, and that was the goal. And it seems like now that's no longer the goal, speaking of weird things, right? You have Elon Musk, who's replying to the Matt Walsh show on X, saying having babies is a right-wing plot to save humanity from extinction. We're just going to take a look at just a quick clip here.
Today, the Matt Walsh Show, the media has uncovered the dangerous right-wing conspiracy to have babies and stave off human extinction. We'll talk about this dastardly plot today. Also, an activist at Columbia University.
It seems weird, man. It seems weird. Like, I just started a family over a year ago. My daughter is a year and a half. I got a son on the way, and now I'm like a right-wing crazy person for having a family and building a life and wanting to pay off our house. Like, it seems so bizarre. It seems like the left, the liberal, the Democrats of the world, they've gone so far to the extreme that shit just doesn't even make any sense anymore. And speaking of things not making any sense, we got some more clips, so just stick around, folks. You got, beginning in September, international students will be allowed to work off campus for up to 24 hours per week. All right. And then you have an MP says he was targeted by Chinese hackers and wasn't even told about it.
In this country, Conservative MP Garnet Janou says he and other members of parliament just found out they were targeted by hackers affiliated with a foreign government. They say Canadian authorities did not tell them.
5 days ago, the member for Scarborough-Guildwood and I were briefed by Mr. de Pulford and other IPAC staff members about a cyber attack launched against us and 16 other Canadian parliamentarians in 2021. This attack was launched by the group known as APT-31, Advanced Persistent Threat 31. It is a known PRC state-backed hacking outfit. This was part of a coordinated attack on IPAC-affiliated legislators throughout the world.
An indictment that was unsealed this month charged 7 nationals of the People's Republic of China with conspiracy to commit computer intrusions and conspiracy to commit wire fraud for their involvement in a PRC-based hacking group that spent approximately 14 years targeting political officials.
Yeah, this is something that we really have to worry about in Canada is foreign interference and foreign hackers. And our government doesn't care about any of that. In fact, our government goes from coast to coast to coast, the current Liberal government, and they just are saying that, yeah, we need to gouge people with taxes, and they have nothing but just cringe-worthy press conferences. We're going to take a look at Canada's most favorite politician now, Mr. Speaker. Of course, I'm joking. We're not about who we're going to watch, but about the fact that she's Canada's favorite politician. And just this super cringy start to a press conference where she's discussing the budget measures. Here we go.
Okay, well, good afternoon, everyone. It is great to be here on such a beautiful spring day in Mount Pearl. You were supposed to laugh a little bit. I am really, really happy to be here with my friend and colleague Seamus. I'm really happy to be here with my friend and colleague Joanne. It is great to have the mayor here. It is great to have your provincial representative here. I am so happy to be.
She must have the same speech coach as Justin Trudeau because she really doesn't know how to talk publicly because she has very weird and cringeworthy gaps in her speeches.
Be here with the great people from Donovan Homes. It is so exciting to look behind us and to know that they told me it's going to be 18 to 24 months before it's done, but I'm going to say do it in 18, okay? So in 18 months, 24 families will have a beautiful home here. How wonderful. And yeah.
She's just so cringe. It's so weird watching these people talk. It feels like Canada has turned into Bizarro World. I don't know. I don't understand it. I feel like I missed out on, 25 years or whatever. Well, I couldn't have paid attention to politics when I was a wee little lad. However, I feel like I wish that I paid attention to politics, in high school and after high school and all those years so I could just see how history repeats itself, because there's a lot more weathered individuals in politics, right? If you're watching this and you're 50 or 60 years old or in your 40s, maybe you've seen this type of repetitive behavior, which is why a lot of people are drained, right? They're drained politically. They see the same thing. They hear the same thing over not days, not weeks, not months, but years, right? Like 5, 10, 15 years, the same talking points and stuff like that. And I'm not in that space yet. I'm brand new into this. I've only really been paying attention for a few years, and I've been blessed to have, not just this platform, but other platforms and other channels and stuff like that to, talk about my opinions and to share what's going on. But I want to pass the question off to you. How the hell do we fix this? Is Pierre the solution? Is Pierre not the solution? What is the solution? How do we fix our political system to not allow this type of communist dictatorship to take place in Canada? I don't have the answer. Maybe somebody in the comments does, and maybe you just need a bunch of upvotes for your voice to get there. So maybe scroll through the comments, everybody, right now and take a look at what people have to say, because I unfortunately don't have the answer, and I'm here to criticize the politicians. And I mean, I certainly enjoy that, but not when it comes to stuff like what we're about to watch. You have, Tom Mulcair, who goes on CTV, and he's talking about why the Liberal government is standing by the decision to increase the capital gains, which is going to hurt so many freaking people.
Oh, this decision to not scrap the changes proposed to capital gains taxes, is it justified?
Well, it's not unexpected because they need the $19 billion in new taxes that they just imposed on Canadians for the good and simple reason that if they don't, they'll bust the $40 billion deficit limit that they set for themselves to try to show some semblance of fiscal responsibility. So there's no way around it. The rest becomes an argument about what fairness is. I just heard Mark Holland, and I read what he had to say over the weekend. I mean, just a couple of days ago, another minister in Trudeau's cabinet was saying, yeah, well, maybe some Canadian doctors will go to the States, but, we'll bring in more foreign trained doctors. I don't think that that's the most positive way to look at this issue. I think that frankly, it's retroactive. And that's what Bill Morneau, Trudeau's former finance minister, said. There are a couple of really good analyses out there that are starting to show as well that it is, in many cases, a form of disguised inheritance tax, Renee, because families who had invested and thought they were going to be able to give assets and knew that they would be taxed at a certain rate and held on to them are now going to be forced to either have a fire sale or to pay a heck of a lot more taxes that were unexpected. And there's one other thing that's worth looking at as well. For decades now, women's groups have been saying, look, we should look at tax changes through a gendered lens because women live longer. So to the extent that you're in many cases taking away what people have put away for their retirement, often self-employed people, that's going to hit women the hardest. And these are things, of course, that I'm sure that they were looked at by the great staff that they've got at finance. Somebody's got a paper written on this saying, yes, it will hurt women more.
How can it possibly hit women the hardest when women make 70 cents on the dollar? That's a joke. That's a joke, folks.
But that's the type of thing that's starting to come out. So it's one thing to use a line like fairness, but it doesn't resist a close analysis. I think there are definitely sides to this $19 billion tax increase that Trudeau brought in a couple of weeks ago that are not fair.
Now,
gender-based taxes. Oh my goodness. Women are going to get hit the hardest, so we have to give women a tax break. Never mind men. We have to give it to women. I don't know. It just seems weird. We're living in a crazy nut job, bizarre world. And I like I said, I've only been doing this for a few years in terms of being invested into politics. And I'm already feeling weathered, man. Like every year feels like 5 years of actual life. 1 year of paying attention to politics is like 5 normal years of stress just condensed into 12 months. And that's with breaks, right? Because Parliament isn't every single day. Politicians aren't making public appearances and doing press conferences every single day. That's, it's like a school year, right? Like 1 year is actually 8 months or 9 months instead of 12. It's very bizarre. And I feel really bad for people like this. We have Wall Street Silver posting on X saying, this is not okay anymore. We have a serious problem here in Canada. This isn't even going to last 5 days. $220 for these groceries.
Guys, this is not okay anymore. Like, we have a serious problem here in Canada. Like, why? Why is this happening? This isn't even going to last not even 5 days. $200, $220, not even 4 to 5 days that's going to last. And that's only for 2 people. Like, this is not. We need help in Canada. Hello, somebody.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, man. Like, people are dreading going to the grocery store. You can't even go and watch movies or go on road trips anymore because shit's just too expensive. It's insane, and our government doesn't do anything about it. And speaking of things that our government doesn't do anything about, got a clip here of a senator who says that he's disappointed to see a bunch of people in tents that are getting ready for anti-Semitic protests here on a university campus. Look at that. This is Canada, where we allow anti-Semitic protests, apparently, and people tenting out on university campuses, which is bizarre because universities are supposed to be a neutral zone, like a politically neutral zone. But anyways, it is what it is. And then you also have Ontario is going to ban the use of cell phones in schools starting in September. It doesn't say what kind of schools. I don't know if it's going to be high schools or anything below high schools, or if that extends to colleges and universities, but we're going to have to wait to see how that kind of unravels. And finally, we're going to end this video with the comments that Pierre Poilievre made in the House of Commons today, bashing Justin Trudeau for being a racist. Here is the clip.
After 9 years, this Prime Minister is not worth the drugs, disorder, death, and destruction. In May of 2022, he granted the BC NDP government's request for a criminal code exemption to allow crack, meth, heroin, and fentanyl use in parks, coffee shops, hospitals, beaches.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
Deaths, since exploded to a record-smashing 2,500 lost lives. The BC NDP government has reversed course and asked the federal government to recriminalize some hard drugs. Why won't this Prime Minister recriminalize these deadly drugs?
You mean I could have been doing crack in my local coffee shop?
Honourable Minister for...
I'm just kidding. That's not even funny.
Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we answered the call of the BC government when they requested the exemption on decriminalization of personal possession of certain illicit drugs. Mr. Speaker, what is driving this overdose crisis is the illegal drug supply. Every life lost is a tragedy. I met with Minister Whiteside this past Friday. We are reviewing their exemption request. Mr. Speaker, we have a clear lens on public health and public safety because we have a plan. They do not.
Public safety.
The Honourable Leader...
Canada's the biggest drug cartel.
Wasting time while people are dying. In the year after this radical Prime Minister granted the decriminalization of crack, heroin, and other hard drugs in parks and hospitals, 2,500 people died. The overdose death in the 9 years of this Prime Minister have tripled to the fastest rising of the 11 countries studied by the Commonwealth Fund. Nurses are afraid to go to work because they have to put up with addicts using meth, crack, and weapons in their hospital room. Even nurses are having to give up on breastfeeding because they're worried their kids will be contaminated with the drugs they breathed in. What the hell are they thinking over there?
Yeah. Drop some W's, man. Drop some W's. Recriminalize drugs across the board. Current government doesn't give a shit.
Member, as a longtime member of this House, I'll just ask him to withdraw the offensive word because it is not.
Withdraw what? No.
Withdraw because they're not thinking over there.
There you go. Uh-oh. He's going to kick him out.
The Honourable Government.
They could do shit.
Speaker, last week we saw the Leader of the Opposition once again encourage supporters of white supremacy, anarchy.
Here we go.
This has been a regular occurrence.
Here we go. Is he going to mention Diagolon again?
People who dismiss the slaughter of children in our schools. The Leader of the Opposition. Thank you for
Oh my God, folks! We just started. You can't see because my camera's in the way, but Melissa Lantzman is like screaming and laughing and pointing across the floor. Wow. The drought is over. Question period is back in session. All hell has broken loose in Parliament. Beautiful. Beautiful. He's going to unmute it.
I'm going to invite the government House Leader to start from the top and to choose his words very carefully so that they do not cause disorder in the House.
Mr. Speaker, last week...
Look at Melanie Jolie wearing her World War II fatigues.
With supporters of white supremacy, anarchy, and misogyny. This has been a regular occurrence. He draws the admiration of people who dismiss the slaughter of children in schools. The Leader of the Opposition now has 30 seconds to speak to this House and to Canadians once I sit down. I ask him to clearly disavow the views of these dangerous people. Will he do that?
All right. Let's go, Pierre.
Order.
Look at the clapping seals, eh? Once in a blue moon, they get up and they clap. Once in a blue moon. G.I. Jolie instead of G.I. Joe. That's what we're calling her, G.I. Jolie.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
I unequivocally disavow the guy who spent the first half of his adult life as a practicing racist, dressing up in blackface. And now he's brought on the extremist and radical position of allowing legal drug use in playgrounds, in hospitals, in coffee shops that has led to the mass death of our people. Will he refuse the demand of Toronto to replicate the decriminalization nightmare in BC.
Oh my God! Oh, W's in the chat. Let's go. Oh.
Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I'm sad to say the leader of the Conservatives, the opposition, has shown us
fucking
his true
speechless.
colors. He speaks without conviction and clarity on a question that should be very, very, very simple for him to address. His silence speaks volumes. This is not leadership, Mr. Speaker. This is political cowardice.
Look at Freeland. Are you standing up the same way you guys stood up to applaud Nazis in the House? Come on. Ladies and gentlemen, that is where we're going to end today's video. I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. On your way out, I'd like to encourage you guys to smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye for now.